Just waiting for this thing to catch up. Can you actually see me? Because, like, I don't see that this has started. Okay, there we go. My phone doesn't want to catch up. Cool. All right. Joe, thanks for being here. I appreciate it, man. Um, Usually I spend like a little time just kind of recapping the episode with my notes that I took. I'm sorry that you haven't started watching this show, so you're not gonna know what the hell I'm talking about, but it's all good. Um, I will try to relate it back to something that you do know, so you can have some context. Um, what was this episode called? God dang it! I'm usually more prepared than this. I usually have this written down. Let me look it up on IMDb. While my computer struggles with this stream for some damn reason. But I also I should probably do an intro too. I'm not used to people being here already. So, um, welcome everybody to BLERD Force One Live. We're talking about the boys today, as we have been the last few weeks. We're on episode 5 that just came out yesterday. Um, I watched it probably about an hour and a half. Well, probably about an hour ago. Uh, And really, this is all about talking about what happened. How are we feeling about this episode? Thoughts, uh, spoilers, any theories about what's going to go on, all of that good stuff. The episode was "Beware the Jabberwock, my son," uh, and just as a synopsis, basically in the previous episodes, Homelander went kind of nuts at the lab where he was raised, and so now the next episode, the boys are trying to, like, what can we do? What do we have at our disposal? And Butcher's like, well, there's this virus that targets soups. We should go see about it, but we got to steal it from Victoria Newman because she's got it. And so as a result, they kind of head out to a farm, and there's a big hilarious scene with uh basically superpowered and carnivorous farm animals. That's quite fun. Homelander is trying to be a good dad and sort of is but isn't. And then Frenchie's kind of dealing with his, kind of moral quandary as having been an assassin most of his life. While they're out there, Kamiko is sort of just trying to figure out what's going on with him. Then Vought is also simultaneously they're running. Like, I think they was it called V-52. I want to say it was called. So yeah, the carnivorous farm animals. They're hopped up on Temp V. So like V is Joe is the compound that was developed back around World War II that the Vought Corporation has used to essentially become the biggest and most profitable company in the world. Think Amazon times 10 or something. They're Amazon, Walmart, Fox News, they're everything. But V is what they use to make super heroes, super soldiers, or superheroes, and it reacts to people differently, so they get different kind of superpowers. It was developed by a Nazi scientist, basically, to create the Ubermensch, and it works, but it also kills people. And but they developed this stuff called Temp V, which is a version of, like, the superheroes in the story. They got hopped up on V as babies, as so they were able to develop their powers more naturally, as opposed to Temp V is something you can take and gives you temporary superpowers, but it's extremely dangerous. If you take too much of it, it'll kill you. Um, so they were using Temp V basically to try to, get these test animals, on superpower to see how the virus works on them. So all that happened. It's really quite funny and very gory, as the boys is. But also they were doing a V. They call it. I think they call it V-52. So there is a big part of, like, one of the side plots is involving basically Vault having a D23 situation, and that this is a direct jab at Disney. It's called V52. They're showing up fronts and like you know, trailers and stuff for upcoming Vault movies based on their superheroes, because superheroes in this world, Joe, are not real. They sort of do real crime fighting, but mostly it's all fake bullshit. It's like the fake moon landing done as like as an in a cottage industry. So they have movies starring the superhero, the actual superheroes, and so they they show A Train's the Blind Side type movie, and it's hilarious. Like there's so much funny shit going on there. Joe, you'll really appreciate this because at one point I should have screen capped this, but I was not watching. I was watching it on TV and not on my computer. But there's a part in the episode where they're like, where Deep, he's basically the Aquaman, the pervy Aquaman of the seven. So he's like up on stage with this other guy that works at Vault News, and they're like, let's talk about the VCU, the Vault Cinematic Universe, and phase it, and we're gonna talk about phases 7 through 18. And I kid you not, like that Kevin Feige goes up there, and the timeline, they call it the Vault timeline, like the MCU timeline, and it's this big thing. And but instead of just like, oh, 7 8 things, it's like this whole thing, and there's like 30 40 fucking projects. This shit's hilarious. I was laughing my ass off at that. They also were talking about a show. They were like, it's in reshoots of the reshoots, and it's the most expensive TV show of all time. And I was like, God damn, they're going hard at Marvel. Okay, yeah, good to see you, man. Glad to see you back here. Appreciate you showing up. Uh, yeah, oh my God, they jabbed so hard at Disney. I laughed my ass off. Um, yeah, they're gonna show up at San Diego Comic Con. Yeah, probably. But like I'm not kidding you. If you had seen, there's even a part where, so the spinoff show Gen V, there's a couple characters from Gen V that show up in this because they show up in V52. Um, and so they are actually the villains of Gen V. They don't start out that way, but at the very end, they're sort of the villains, and they're on Homelander's side. And there's a good reason for it. You should watch Gen V. It's in fact, Joe, I'd say you could watch Gen V and not watch The Boys. Get through that season, and you'll understand what's going on. It's a good show, but it ties into this. But they show up, and they are going to be in their own movie too, because Homelander likes them, so they're going to get their own movie through Vought. But it was called Guardians of something. I forget what, Guardians of Homeroom or something like that. And I kid you not, the Guardians logo looks like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, y'all are doing y'all trying so hard to fuck with Disney right now, and I love it. Oh man, it's yeah, no, they were if you looked in the episode, they were probably in the middle section. They were on stage presenting their little movie, but also they were in the room at the very end of the episode where, or near the end of the episode, where Homelander's like, I want a wrathful gods, and that thing. Let's Iriel. I hope I'm saying your name right, Iriel. But welcome in. Thank you for joining. Yeah, there was but they, Homeland is like, I want y'all to be wrathful gods and everything like that. That was like, it's Sam and Kate are those guys' name. I fucking hate them, even though I understand them. The thing is, I understand them a lot about why they're doing what they're doing, why they buy into Homelanders. You're not human. You're different. You're not a real, and your own kind. You saw my stand on your own kind side. I get that. I understand why they feel that way. A lot of trauma there, but they still suck because the other members of the Guardians of Godolkin, they didn't turn out to be inhuman pieces of crap. So like, but either way, we'll get to that. Let's see. Let's see. It says, I'm sorry, I have to lean over because my camera's in the way of. In fact, maybe I should. You know what? I'll do this. Move this into a place where I can actually fucking read. Uh, it says no need to reinvent the wheel. Plus, may as well play on what works well. Yeah, Gen V like it's a really dope show, and again, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch The Boys to understand what's going on. They explain pretty well what's going on. Uh, let's see. Uriel says in season 5, Homelander would definitely take a bunch of suits and take over America and kill the president like he did in the comics. I don't doubt it. Um, I mean, they are obviously setting that up. And also, you said you thought the episode was kind of underwhelming. I will ask. I love the episode, um, and there's some parts I really want to talk about. But I'm curious, what kind of didn't work for you, in your opinion. And let me back up. Let me go grab my notes so we can start going through the episode properly. Um, here we go. Pull my notes up. Um, oh, that was funny. Um, so at the start of the episode, like I said, B-52, but they were talking. There was a part where they showed Big Chief Apache, which is, if y'all remember, like if you're old enough to remember, if you've even seen like references to it, the the Indian, tier, about littering from back in the 70s. If you don't know that, y'all check it out. It's a ridiculous little anti-littering campaign that featured a guy that was not Native American. He's actually Italian American, but was cosplaying as Native American. But it was like, oh, every time you see a bit of litter, this Native American guy is crying because you're. So they had one something like that called Big Chief Apache, and I'm like, so fucking on brand. Like it's kind of poking fun at the fact Vault's been around a long time, so definitely they were going to be doing that. But also, it kind of presages a part later on in the episode. Again, they're shit talking Disney on this one, and it's quite funny. Um, I think I said the VCU timeline phases. That was hilarious. Let's see. It felt like nothing really happened for me. I just expected more. I mean, I get it. There's some forward movement on. There's nothing super dramatic aside from some really funny. There's some funny bits. The most dramatic bit was related to Huey and Hugh Senior and his mom, which was to me like probably the best part. Yeah, not probably the best part of the episode. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I fucking broke down on that. I'll explain why later, but uh, could Homelander actually survive a nuke to the face? I think so. They put him through a lot of stress testing to see what would happen. He would feel it, but he would survive. I think. So far, I mean, he survived fighting his dad, who hits like a fucking Mack truck. He also survived getting beat the fuck up by Maeve. So and he wasn't seriously damaged. So I think he can. I think they figured out if they thought a nuke could kill him, I think he'd have been killed by now. I think Stan Edgar had realized years ago that Homelander was he's just a broken piece of work, and but they couldn't do anything with him. They can't actually kill him. Not yet. We know it's coming. Um, so at the end of last episode, Hugh's mom gave his dad Temp V. Now, um, so we see kind of the aftermath of that. I really kind of want to hold on to that for the end of the later on, just because it's such a big part of the episode. But he's back up and he's talking, and oh, it's a fucking miracle, right? But there's no such thing as a free lunch in this show. This is You got to think about this show. It has the same storytelling sensibilities like Game of Thrones does, wherein no good deed goes unpunished. And there's no such thing as a free lunch. So you're definitely gonna pay for any kind of shortcut you take, or just trying to fucking do right. Let's see. Homelander. Homelander beats Brightburn because that kid doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and I don't. Does he have laser vision? I don't know. He he mops the floor with them. You can essentially look at Ryan as being Brightburn, and right now I think Homelander would kill Ryan. Um. So another thing I saw is like the Vought News thing. Now, so Vought News obviously they're a Fox News OAN whatever you know sort of situation, giving Firecracker basically an open forum to shit on Annie, aka Starlight. Very on brand for them, obviously. But I thought it was interesting. She's like, I'm gonna press charges on her, even though it appears that somehow she's wriggling out of it. I don't understand why Starlight's not in jail for kicking the shit out of her on TV, but whatever. Plot armor, right? But she said also that she's declaring an open season on Starlighters. That should be fucking illegal. Free speech stops at advocating violence. So at that point, you can be sued and all that other shit. I'm curious about that, but this is a world that apparently laws are very flexible. Um, Ryan feels more like a MacGuffin instead of a character this season. Really? I don't know. They're starting to sort of explore that. I think. Um, I was very heartened by the fact on the previous episode that Ryan seems like he wants to be a good guy and he wants to be Superman. Like he's Connor Kent, if you will, right now, or young Kal El. He wants to do good, and he kind of explains that to his dad. Like, when his dad's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "I just want to do good, like Mama want me." And you know what? Every time I think, I'm like, Homelander, maybe he can turn the corner. Like he's a piece of shit, but maybe he's getting maybe something has seeped through all of his trauma and bullshit to like maybe give him some humanity. Nope, he's manipulative as fuck. Is what it is. Oh yeah, Firecracker and Stormfront. I think Stormfront probably would dominate that thing, but yeah, they'd get on very well. I actually loved. I'm hopping around. I'm sorry, but Firecracker confronting Sage about setting her up to get her ass whooped was great. I loved that. And also, I'm starting to wonder: does Sage really got it under control? I've been wondering about this. How under control is this situation? Because Firecracker just openly just said, when I get a chance, I'm gonna fuck you up. You're lucky Homelander likes you, but I'm gonna fuck you up." So there's still that I'm still superior to you because I'm white and some I guess more right wing or something. I don't know what the fuck her thing is, but she's like she's like, nah, you're not one of the good ones. You're uppity. Okay, cool. So I would say don't fuck with Batman. Maybe like that's why she's smart and she can figure you out. And you don't have a good superpower. The best thing you got going on for you is you are very durable, but you're not unbeatable. That was a fun little thing. Would Ryan come? Oh, that yeah. So let's talk about that. Area. That's a good point. Fucking Homelander. Like for a second, I'm like, I'm not kidding. For a second, I was like, well, maybe he is trying to be a good dad, but he's so fucked up he can't even do that right. So Ryan wants to be a good guy. So the setup for this, of course, is that Joss Whedon stand-in, his Adam something or whatever, the director, who's a piece of crap, of course. We've seen he's a piece of crap for a while, but he's the go to guy. He directed the Seven movie that was in the previous season. He wants to direct Ryan's debut movie, and Ryan's like, "Fuck that! I don't want to do that. I want to actually be a superhero." Cool, but he witnesses the director Adam basically sexually harassing, continuously sexually harassing um, his PA. And so later on, when he says, "Too bad Queen Maeve is gone. She was wrecking her." Yeah, but the problem with that, I'm sorry, do want to answer what y'all say in real time. I will come back to the whole thing about with Homelander, but Maeve is only she only got so much gas in the tank. So we saw Homeland. This is how strong he is relative to everybody else. Maeve and Soldier Boy at the same time couldn't take him out. I mean, it really and maybe with Butcher powered up, they could have killed him, but he stayed his hand because he didn't. I don't know. As they say later on, he's a motherfucker with a heart. That's what Mother's Milk said. He's not a monster. So Maeve, she just doesn't have the power to to take him out. She can stand toe to toe with him for a time, but she can't really win. Unfortunately, that's really the deal here. Is that Homelander is the unsolvable problem for now. He's Zeus. You know, he's untouchable by everybody else. So people are trying to figure it out. Um, yeah, well, I'd say honestly, Ryan and Soldier Boy together is probably enough to take out Homelander. Mainly because Homelander wouldn't fight full force against him. Uh, he keeps saying he's not human. He wants Ryan to believe he's not human and that he doesn't need love and that he's going to excise that from him. Bullshit. Not happening. He has an attachment to Ryan, whether it's actual familial or filial love, if you will, or if he sees him as his legacy, or if he's got this weird need for some kind of way to be immortal, and that's what Ryan is. Whatever it is, he's got an attachment to him, and like I said, he wants Ryan to sort of have what he wants. He like what do you want? I'm not, and this was he said some fucked up shit in relation to it that I feel like I should be more offended by. He says like I was a slave, I was basically a slave but worse, and I'm like, was it worse though? But then I think about what he went through, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of was bad. I mean, like I don't. I feel like I should be offended because my people were enslaved. But on the other hand, I'm just like, they did kind of they baked your ass in a fucking oven, you know, and they performed all these fucked up experiments on you. Kind of, you know what? I'll let it. You know what? You get a pass, man. It's all good. You can say you were a slave, but he felt like he has to do with that. But now he feels free, and he wants Ryan to feel free, not just of the bought apparatus, but also of the expectations of Homelander himself to tell him what to do and how to be and all this other stuff. Because clearly it's not working. So he has enough, sense to know that he can't push Ryan around and make him love him or even do what he wants. So it all plays out into this whole bit with the director Adam and how he's sexually harassing this production assistant, and then Ryan wants to do good, and Homelander's like, well, why don't you go? Let's save her, and it turns into a fucked up thing. Like he's twisting it, so he's being heroic, but also he's being cruel and like he's it's more about humiliation and punishment rather than justice and rehabilitation or something like that. So he rather than he makes him. Let's see. Let me pause for a second. Uh, she was kind of Mandela affecting her. Well, what I mean by that is because it's not really a Mandela effect. I remember the fight. She was kicking his ass. Now I'm not saying she wasn't kicking his ass, but she didn't have staying power, and she knew it. Remember, this was a suicide run for her. Remember, she was like, "I'm tired of doing this. Fuck that. I'm training and I'm gonna take a run at him, but I know I can't beat him. So her idea was to just beat the shit out of him and hopefully someone else could fucking finish him off. But it was always a suicide run for her, I think. And I knew I don't think I think she knew she couldn't personally kill him. And she was right. Like, she couldn't personally kill him, but teaming up with Soldier Boy, maybe they could have depowered him, then they could have killed him. Let's see. I gotta admit though, I'm so over the Superman is evil trope. Yeah, it's. I think that we're turning a corner on it. I honestly think we are. Homelander is even more than Nolan on Omni Man. It's more of a absolutely detestable evil version of Superman. And of course, we've explored it in the comics before, with Squadron Supreme, and then Uriel mentioned Brightburn, which is more of a he starts out evil. He's just evil from the get go. In fact, I think Brightburn isn't even a good version of evil Superman because he's not. He's literally not human to the point where I don't think he I don't think he was ever really human. Like, Clark Kent is maybe not human biologically, but is culturally human. And I think that I forget the kid's name, but from Brightburn, he is so alien in his mental makeup that he could never acculturate to become human, at least in thinking. So when he proceeds to have all his psychopathic shit, I don't even think it's fair to call it psychopathy because he would have to be human first to then be a mentally diseased human. And I don't think that that's what's happening with Brightburn. Whereas with Homelander, he is human no matter what the fuck he says. And he is just because of his upbringing and how he was tortured and all that stuff. All of that trauma has made him a psychopath. So that's a different. He is human and an actual psychopath. Brightburn is just an alien whose thought patterns don't map onto ours in a way that makes sense. If that, I think I'm just fucking, that's my head canon, if you will. Couldn't Newman had pop? I don't. That's the thing is she doesn't believe, and I think Homelander doesn't believe that she could do it fast enough before he killed her, and she has to get close to do it. I think it's, I think it's pretty clear he's super tough, and by the time she powered up the head pop enough to kill him, he'd have found her and killed her. She's super. You saw she's bulletproof. But there's lots of bulletproof people that Homelander has destroyed. So it's not. I think she's trying to figure out a way to soften him up so she can do it. I did like the kid's solution to the rapey director. Well, here's the thing: it wasn't his solution; it was Homelander's solution. Because he was feeding him. Like, remember that he's manipulative. This look, that's why I said fuck Homelander in this one because he's trying to do something good, but he twists it. So he's feeding him lines. Remember, he said, "I'm not going to control you," but at the same time, he's like, "Why don't you tell him to do this and tell him to do that?" And notice Ryan goes from virtuous justice to actually kind of getting off. I don't, and that's weird to say, but like kind of getting a high of sorts, having control over this man and his fate and humiliating him. And that's his justice. That's, it's just one step away. Like, trust me, it may feel good right now. And I get what you're saying. Like, hey, he got what's coming to him. Sure. But it's it's about 5 steps removed from just like what Homelander did down in that in the lab. It really is. Because imagine that it's just a softened down version of what he did to that guy, making him masturbate in front of everybody and then lasering his dick. It's he is poisoning this virtuous desire by Ryan to do good. He is poisoning it to the point where later on he'll be judge, jury, and executioner. You know, he'll be Judge Dredd with Superman powers. But Judge Dredd has laws. And what law is Homelander and Ryan following in doing that? Let's think of it. It's something to think about. Um, I want to see Homelander's supersonic scream that he used in the comic come into play in the show somehow. I mean, maybe. I feel like they have put the brakes on how his powers, in to just kind of. I mean, there's it's cool, but like, does he need more power? What more could he What more could he do? But I mean, it'll be kind of cool. I mean, Superman always has new shit show up, so why not? Uh, you were talking, but well, okay. If you were talking about being tired of I think we're turning the corner on evil Superman. I think maybe we mined this idea and extended it as far as it can. I think Homelander is probably the peak of this idea, especially because he's supposed to be essentially a Trump stand-in, so it becomes a little more topical, but I think we may have gotten it as far as it can go. And maybe we're turning a corner and coming back to, hey, Superman as a Boy Scout is actually cool. I'm trusting that James Gunn is taking that approach with the new Superman movie. If you're not watching My Adventures with Superman, go cleanse your palate with that show. It will absolutely make you feel like that old, Christopher Reeve feeling, that old Superman feeling. I like in fact, I'll say I do like watching My Adventures with Superman after I've watched The Boys, because The Boys can be very, very, hard on you, hard on on how you feel about the world. Um, Homelander keeps manipulating Ryan. He will probably have a twisted sense of, yeah, exactly. That's you're following exactly what I'm saying, and I clocked that immediately. Um, Homelander, instead, because he sees it as weakness. Remember, he said, remember earlier he says, as far as I'm concerned, this planet is empty except for you and me. Like, oh, we already know he doesn't think non-powered humans are real people anyway. But he even feels he's separate from the rest of the soups. And so Ryan having his exact same powers, hey, now me and Ryan are the only real people here. And everyone else is just they're animals. So now he wants to make sure that Ryan has that feeling of superiority too. And he sees the virtuous nature as his mom's bad influence. He's got to tamp that down. If he can't get rid of it, let's direct it in a way that does serve that whole superiority complex. Um, yeah, his supersonic scream make it more. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a version of, what do you call it? The icy breath or whatever. Um, I mean, sure. If that, my only thing, as long as it's not yet another power that makes him untouchable. That's all. He does need to be touched at some point. Um, the point of Superman is he could be evil. He could take what he wants, but he chooses not. Exactly. Exactly. Um, and I think Homelander is a commentary on this kind of, the alpha male, manosphere bullshit. This kind of right wing, um, love affair with the strong man that can just do what he wants, right? I think, and this comes about all the time in democracies, where people get tired of the difficult problem of self governance. It's not fun. Competing influences and interests. We have a de facto oligarchy throughout most of the first world, a lot of the third world too. But a de facto oligarchy where people, they are enriching themselves on the back of regular people, and so everyone's feeling powerless. Who's going to swoop in and save us? We need the strong dude that's got power. He's not afraid to just say it like it is and stick it to the man. And yeah, maybe he'll, execute people or what. It's fine, right? Because we don't feel strong enough. We don't like the process of democracy. I lament this. I mean, it is a consequence of how hard it is to get people to take responsibility for themselves. We want to fall back on that strong man. Uh, we see this in America. Look, this country is founded on the idea that we'll self govern. We don't need any fucking nobility. We don't need any kings. We'll bow to no one. And yet, look at all the motherfucking people in this country who love royalty. They love the British royal family. It's a fucking genre of literature. It's people give so much of a fuck about royalty because they want kings. There's the ultra rich in this country, the high society. They've been trying to figure out for 200 plus years how to make a landed gentry, how to make a noble class. They haven't figured it out because it's fucking against the law. But if they can figure out how to make it happen, they will. Because people want that. I hate to say that, but people do. Democracy's hard. And so the strong man, as portrayed by Homelander, is kind of the logical conclusion of how you invest all this power into one person or one position and you get the wrong fucking person with the power. Now things suck. You ask for it, you get it. It reminds me a bit of, if you guys are familiar with the Bible, how in the early Hebrews they were self governed. They had judges. They essentially had lawgivers and interpreters to essentially be the governance. And otherwise, everyone's sort of self governed. But they saw kings around them in the surrounding nations, and they wanted a king. And God was like, "All right, fuck. I guess you really want a fucking king. You don't need it. Set it up so you don't. But fuck, here, have a king." And it kind of fucks up the situation. Kind of messes their situation up. If so that's where we're at. I don't really want to talk hugely about politics, but the show is political, and it's Homelander is talking about that thing. I'm sorry, I've been rambling, so let me see what y'all are saying. Uh, let's see. Well, okay, if Judge Dredd laws is like you're littering death penalty. I mean, isn't that what it is? Kind of like with the soups, though. Well, at some point, they're going to be like, um, might is right. I have the might, so what I say is right. That's pretty much, yeah. Um, could comic Peacemaker beat Soldier Boy? Fuck no. Hell no. Soldier Boy is like, what if Captain America were way more powerful and also could depower you? Or even if he couldn't depower you, I think that little blast he does probably kills people. No. Soldier Boy would wax his ass so hard, it wouldn't even be close. Uh, well, okay, yeah. Do you think Sister Sage has her own agenda? Because the last episode gave me separate agenda. Oh, fuck yeah. Her first agenda, making sure that when she's no longer useful, Homelander does not laser her. So, agenda number one. I think that Sage has um, gamed this out pretty well. And if she doesn't think that her death is not at the end of a lot of the scenarios, she's stupid. And she's not stupid. So she's got to figure. how do I put other bodies in front of me before it's time for me to get shot in the head? And I think it's pretty clear Firecracker is one of those sacrificial lambs. Firecracker's got to figure that if she's not stupid like she says she's not, she's got to figure that she's on the chopping block too. But it's if Sage doesn't realize that she is in the line of fire, she is dumb, and I don't believe that. Um, let's see. We need a different kind of left. I would like. Let me see. What do you mean by that? I do. I'm kind of curious, so I won't try to interpret that yet. If you can explain what you mean by that. Who win a battle royale? Blackmore, Queen May, A Train. Translucent, Deep Sage, Lamplighter, Firecracker. Firecracker headshot immediately. That's honestly, given that the current Blackmore has no good powers that we're aware of, so we don't know what his powers are, except probably super strong. It's pretty much a three-way between Starlight, A Train, and Maeve. Everybody else, any of the three of them could fucking kill them without too much effort. Uh, A Train theoretically should be the ass kicker. He should win that because he's faster than everybody, but he doesn't seem to be especially stronger. Took a hit from Blue Beetle. I mean, I can believe that Peacemaker could, stand in the fight a bit, but look, Soldier Boy was hurting. He was hurting Homelander, and there ain't no way in hell Peacemaker is hurting Homelander. That ain't happening. Um, Sage has a plan that she definitely knows that A Train is the leak. Maybe. I think A Train has been he's played his inside role pretty fucking beautifully. Um, by making Ashley an accomplice to what he's doing, and kind of giving her a way to be petty. I would cry tears for Cameron, but fuck that guy, and who cares? We need A Train to survive to the end of the season. I don't think he lives through the end of the season, but you need him to survive, and fuck Cameron. And also, he kind of asked for that shit. Like, you know, uh, kind of giving Deep all the reason to believe that he's the bad guy, giving Ashley all the reason. Like, he shitted on way too many people in this episode to not be beaten to death. I mean, the idea. So here's the thing. The This is like watching Game of Thrones, where there's a bunch of dumb motherfuckers playing the game. A bunch of dumb motherfuckers. Like, if you watch Game of Thrones, all the dumb people died in season one. Like, all the really, really dumb people died within season one or season two. You could argue that Rob was the last dumbass in Game of Thrones, but every stupid motherfucker died real fast. And in this show, it's like, how are they all still alive? Stan Edgar said that like when he was talking about the boys, he's like, I'm amazed you guys have lived this long, and I'm like, no shit, because Cameron Deep could beat you to death on the real. He could beat your ass to death, but he sat there, shit talked him, and he fucked over Ashley. Not fucked over, but he broke up with her and everything, and kind of made her feel like shit. And this is the mistake of assuming that your enemy is actually powerless. You don't do that. And he made an enemy out of her, thinking she was nothing because she was diminished. Diminished is not powerless. Let's see. That was fucked up, but also like it was a good little moment to kind of see a preview of where Homelander and his clique are going. Let's see. Let's see. Our Starlight light beam is actually lighter just plasma. I wish we knew that. Not really sure about that. Um, uh, That's like in the show Firecracker. Y'all think I'm just some stupid poor white trash sister Sage. I don't think you're poor. Uh, True that she's a grifter, and that grift, hey, those grift dollars keep they are pouring. You can tell, and now she's in the big league. That grift is going. I'm surprised they didn't show her hawking colloidal silver or you know war bonds or fucking you know end of the world MREs or something like that. Like she got to be running those fucking things on Vault News Network. Um, by season 8 of Game of Thrones, everybody became dumb. So, uh, I did not, honestly, I never made it that far. I only read the books, and like I said, in the books, all the really stupid people that were just rich, highborn, and dumb as fuck, dead. Every one of them dead. All the smart people, all the people that could read the tea leaves, all the people that could plot and plan and figure out. Oh no, they were like Peter Baelish. Peace. You know what? I suddenly got something to do back in my castle. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna send a raven though on the real, but like hit me up when you need me. I got you. Peace out, everybody. Ned Stark. I'm, I'm noble. Yes. So yeah. I've never watched the game of you. You know what? I haven't watched. I've watched one season and like a few episodes of season two. I didn't watch the end of it, but like I said, I read the 5 books that are out, and that'll get you there too, to kind of understand what's going on. Like I said, this is like Game of Thrones with a bunch of dumb motherfuckers. Like even, and mind you, you know, Homelander's he's a bit Joffrey, he's a bit Cersei. He is even sometimes a little Tywin, but he's never Tyrion. He's dumb and he's petulant and he wants something and he's got the power to make people do that. He is that, and the people around him are trying to fucking manage his bullshit. Um, I would say, and Stan Edgar knew this. One of the dumbest things he ever did was get rid of Stan. Stan Edgar is by far the best person to fucking manage Vought and still get Homelander what he wants. Let's see. You know what, area? I don't. I mean, now we're crossing streams a bit on could he take away powers? I mean, if that worked that way in the Marvel Comics universe, probably. Um, Unless it's at a DNA level, then who knows? But then again, depowering soups is at a DNA level, so who knows? Speaking of soups, I'm jumping around, but this reminded me. What did y'all think about that weird little parasite thing that hopped out of that bunny? And where do you think it's coming from? And do you think that that's what's in Butcher right now? That little thing that's swimming around in him. Uh, let's see. They're about to mirror the whole America takeover thing from the comics. Homelander does not understand the rule of most monsters. Sure, they have power and size, but humans have numbers and imagination. And I think a lot of soups are about to. Oh, most definitely. The whole Butcher and Kessler and Samir thing. Oh, well, and actually, and this is related to the parasite thing too, because I have an idea about that. But one thing about that whole situation is they're like, oh man, we only got one more dose of the virus, and then it's all over. Really? What? The lack of imagination on the bad guy on the good guy's part is why y'all are fucking up. No imagination whatsoever. They're like, we use this, that's it, and then we'll just have no virus. There's literally bodies of these little of the sheep who died of the virus who still have the virus in them. like, what are y'all thinking about? All right, did y'all skip science class in school or something? What is happening? Well, we'll just have to figure something else out. No, you have the answer right here. Just go, take those bodies, go to a lab, culture the fucking bodies, and then you got more. Some people are saying that Kessler's not real and that he's another figment of his imagination, of Butcher's imagination, while this, the V is fucking his mind up. Maybe. But it would be fun if that was true. We'll get we'll get some real Fight Club shit going on. Um, Combination of compound V and temp V create the parasite. Oh, hey, I sort of was wondering if it was a interaction between the virus and compound V, because then it would make sense to me why it would come out of that bunny. That was the one that he released earlier that he took the temp V out of. It would make, or a temp V and the virus, because it's hard for me to not believe that there's not some, that he didn't get exposed to it when he was tracking it down. But I could be wrong. That parasite is probably what blew up Ezekiel. And by the way, welcome in, Johnny. I didn't say welcome. Thank you for joining the chat. Um, it's yeah, I think it's the same thing as in Butcher. Yeah, I think that's true also. So we get some like Prometheus slash Alien Covenant shit going on, which I fucking hate those movies for doing that, but I would be down for like some chest burster shit that goes around and gets people with V. That'd be dope. Why not? Let's turn this shit into like body horror. We've got enough splatter going on anyway. Why the fuck not? But that was fucked up and weird. And um, I hate that Butcher was so scared of the implication. I think the implication scared him enough to kill that thing when, we had two soups right there. Let's throw it on there and see what happens to him. Why the fuck not? By the way, while we're talking about that whole farm thing, I do want to shout out Claudia Domit. I think I'm saying her name right. Who plays Victoria Newman, um, aka Nadia. She kicks, man. She was so fucking good in this episode, and so was also, you know, uh, what can I say? Is that Giancarlo Esposito? Love seeing him back. I love Stan Edgar so much. God, I love that character. Man, this show without him is still great, but man, he chews that scenery. Um, Ironton Sheep's not strong enough to kill Homelander. True enough, but notice how quickly it killed them. They ate within minutes. It killed them, so it's getting there. This thing needs to kill him real fast. And like, I don't think Homelander has a healing factor, but I'm not sure about that. Butcher might be able to control and become like Venom. That would be dope. Please make that happen. Who said Johnny? That's from your lips to the creator's ears. I want that so bad. That'd be fucking awesome. Let's get that. Oh, we are Butcher. I'd love that. If he learns to control the parasite and become like Venom's gonna hear a lot of him. I'd sure, why not? A lot of Eminem. I love that. Um, if you got Compound V, how would you react if you got the power to add to? Ugh. I mean, obviously, I don't need that help, but um, it's honestly, and if y'all allow me to talk about, well, I'm going to finish reading what y'all say, but I do want to talk about the whole Huey and Hugh Senior situation. Um, yeah, I don't want Compound V. It seems like if unless you get it when you're. And by the way, something that we sort of forget because, and we often forget about this in superhero things. All of the soups we see in the show that got V as kids that, constant injections of, and they grew up with it. We forget about the people who were locked up in that asylum, like Nadia was, aka Victoria Newman, who are failures of V. And they don't talk about the kids who just straight up died from complications due to V. So the ones we see that end up with powers, with good powers, are essentially like the X-Men. Like we watch, like if you've read X-Men or any X-Men comics over the decades, like, I have on and off. I'm out of them now, but during the early 2000s, and they kind of played on the whole Morlock thing. Remember, the Morlocks are the undesirable mutations, and they live underground. So we don't ever talk about how the undesirable effects of V have killed people. Like, remember, in Gen V, Marie almost got sent to one of those facilities because of her power and how weird and fucked up it was, and how she killed her parents. So there are a lot of people who have powers that don't get to look like Jean and Scott and, Jubilee, and live lives like real people. They're fucked up. So this, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't even want to test it. You could get powers, or you could die. Or you could get like that one guy that has a prehensile dick, which sounds good until you think about it. Let's see. Newman's has been one of my favorite characters in the boys, along with Stan. True that. I mean, God, my God, their interaction in this episode, top notch. And I have to say, she held her own with him. I like, honestly and truly, Giancarlo Esposito is a goat. Absolutely. If you want a villain, he got you. But like, I didn't realize how much I missed Stan Edgar till I saw him in this, and I was like, this guy, he has a look, just a look like, you ain't shit. You disappoint. Like, his disappointing is a body blow. Just saying like, nah, yeah, it's disappointing, beneath me. Or what he said, the way he eviscerated, absolutely eviscerated Homelander, calling him bad product. Not scared of getting lasered, not scared. I mean, just like, this man is just a fascinating powerhouse. And Giancarlo Esposito brings that power to that role. I fucking love it. But yeah, Claudio Demit is so great as Newman. The way she reads Annie, the way she triggers her, but she's also vulnerable at some points. I mean, absolutely, they are just killing. I loved it. Um, when has Esposito ever been bad? That's a real. I mean, like, good luck checking his IMDb for that. I mean, when people say someone could read a phone book and I'd watch it, fuck yeah, he could act out the phone book. He could just, just whatever. I know it would be dope. Um, Newman's daughter sprung out things that looked like, yeah, but I don't. I don't think it's the same though. I don't. I think this is just her reaction to V. And you notice getting V later on in your life. She's still developing, so she has powers, and she's not gonna die of it. But really shitty things seem to be coming out of that. Um, V gives random powers when granted at birth, but when administered, adults give them powers based on their personality. I mean, could be. Does that say something um, about Newman's daughter? Because she got it later on in life. Um, Huey's at, yes, thank you for letting me come back to this. Serial, thanks for letting me come back to this because I really want to talk about it. Huey's dad said that Daphne treated him like he wasn't even there, and he has the ability to phase through objects like he wasn't there. True. Notice also that Huey on Temp V, he his powers aren't awesome. He just has the ability to escape or something like that. He does get a little bit of super durability, but he mainly just can run away. Um, I'm worried for Stan. Homelander will kill scientists, and Stan might be next. Stan has some power over him. And look, and also notice that he didn't kill the woman that ran the institute. There's something about him, and Stan's not afraid of him. And I don't think Homelander understands how to deal with people who are not afraid of him. He knows how to deal with sycophants. He knows how to deal with people who are afraid. He knows how to deal with enemies. What he doesn't know how to deal with is people who do not respect his power. And I mean, like, I don't mean just like, oh, I don't believe that you'll kill me. Stan believes he'll kill him. He's not. He doesn't respect it. It's beneath him, and since it's beneath him, and his desire to please and to make people love him and respect him, digs at him so much that he can't kill Stan until Stan is afraid of him properly. I think that's what's going on. Yeah, he's intimidated by the fact that Stan does not respect him at all. He has daddy issues. Stan's the ultimate, I don't want to say the ultimate daddy, that sounds wrong, but he's the ultimate stern father figure that is not impressed with your shit. Oh, you won first place, good for you. Why did it take you so long? Oh, you got to be quarterback, good for you. Where's your state championship? You got a PhD? Oh, it's in a shitty place. He's that guy. Stan is not going to be impressed by anything Homelander does. He he doesn't respect him. He doesn't think he's worth anything. He's bad product. He's a failure, and he will always be a failure. And Homelander's always going to be trying to prove him wrong, and he can't prove him wrong if he's dead. Um, I'm going to get. Let me see. Where are we at? Woman's going. One's going to die of starvation. Let me let me put a pin in some of what you guys are talking about. I really want to talk about this, and I hope you guys will indulge me, because this is the part of the episode that affected me most, especially. Kudos to the writers of this. I got to see who got the writing credit on this episode, but I'm gonna say straight up that the Hugh Senior thing was so fucking heartbreaking to me, and I didn't realize it. I kind of saw where this was gonna head as soon as Hugh Senior was like, "Oh, I don't, where's your mom?" And I realized, like, oh, the V's wearing off. His brain damage is too much, and it basically turned into an allegory for dementia, but the worst fucking way possible. Now, personally, in my personal life, I have an uncle that's going through this right now. He's 85. He's very much diminishing in his memory. He's regressing. It's hard. Now, I'm not there to witness it, but I have personally witnessed this with my grandmother. To see her, Alzheimer's take her away, and she's angry and lashing out when she had the strength to do that. And that's basically what's going on here. A very speed run through Alzheimer or dementia, but with someone who has the power to kill people. And he becomes angry and he lashes out and hurts people. Um, to the point where he's a danger to Huey and his mom. And they all that stuff happens, and it's like, look, this is the boy, so of course it's going to be not just an allegory, but it's also going to show how the progression of the disease destroys other people, and so he very dramatically kills several people because it's the boys. What I did not expect was at the end Huey realizing, when Hugh kind of comes to his senses, that, and he even kind of foreshadows it earlier in the episode about how Huey can't let go, that he allowed their dog or cat or dog, I think, to linger in pain and suffering, and that he didn't want to be Jar Jar. That's why he didn't let Huey have power of attorney. He didn't want to be Jar Jar, just lingering on. Uh, and he would rather just go on. And that comes back, and that's a foreshadowing of what happens later on in the episode, where they realize the V's wearing off, dementia is setting in, and he's just going to hurt somebody. And so Huey already starts, he realized, I've got to give dad what he wants, which is euthanizing. And it didn't, once it hit me that he's going to have to euthanize, I'm not kidding. I fucking broke down. Like, I don't have a problem with emotional responses to things. I don't. Things hit me in a certain way, I'm gonna cry. But usually it's like tears and small ones. But I'm just like I'm still. No, I cried like my dad, or my mom or my sister was fucking dying. Where they told me, I'm in pain. I want this to end. Please help me do this. And knowing that Huey was the one that was having to do this, and I really cried about it. It was hard. It was hard knowing what was happening, and it was the right thing to do. Knowing what Huey was going through, and Jack Quaid, um, just abs- everybody in the scene, like I don't know why I can't say his name that played his dad. Somebody say it in the chat, please, so I don't have to look it up. Um, Everyone played it straight and emotionally, and it hurt so hard, and I didn't realize how connected to the characters I was until the moment I realized that Huey was going to have to kill his dad. And the whole holding his hand scene, and like we're going to go to Paris, and it was devastating. And I don't think I've had a response to any movie or TV like Simon Pegg. Thank you so much, Johnny. I appreciate it. I haven't had a remote emotional response like that to anything in a while. And I've cried over it. I think probably the last time I really cried like that at a movie or a TV show was Reservation Dogs season 2 finale. And if you've watched that show, it's amazing. And it really kind of like fucked me up. And this fucked me up hard. Like so much to the point where it's going to be a while before I watch that scene again because it really really got me. I don't know if y'all felt the same way about it, but it was very. I think it was very tastefully handled. Like they took a step back from the crass, over the top nature of the show and really had a real human moment and really played it straight. Really kind of explored the emotional landscape without, in my opinion, being exploitative, and allowed the actors to really kind of hone in on what was going on there. And I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate something making me feel, but also um, kind of letting me, maybe process some feelings that I maybe haven't done before. Like for years, my grandmother died years ago. And I mean, like, was it 2024? She died almost, maybe, probably, let's see, maybe 20 years, actually more than 20 years ago. Maybe I hadn't processed it until now. That was hard. Yeah, that's this show it fires on all cylinders because I really think they understand that you take the capes and superpowers off of this, these are still people dealing with some fucked up, difficult situations and making hard choices and having to live with the consequences. And I think especially all of that happened and like his mom's gonna have to deal with understanding that her wanting to not take Hugh Sr. away from Huey got a bunch of people killed. She did the wrong thing for the right reason, and it is just like it's just heartbreaking. So, um, Okay, thanks for letting me go, go down that road. I really appreciate that. I just had to get that off my chest, really. So let me see what you guys had to say about it. Feel bad for Huey's. Yeah, I mean, you could see the horror in his eyes, knowing that in his altered mental state, he hurt people. Because Huey's dad's a good guy. He really is. He's a really good guy. But he also has been harboring resentment and anger and feeling, but he's accepted it, right? He had this anger against his Hugh's mom, but he's accepted it and he's kind of healed and moved on in his later years. But regressing back to that time where no, he hasn't healed. He's still mad. He still has a grudge. And having the power to sort of do something with it was scary. It's scary to, if you haven't dealt with someone who's losing their memories and their capacity, it is a scary thing. It's not just because they are afraid and not understanding, they're confused and they have the power to lash out. But it's scary knowing that you can also do that too. Our brains are fragile. They are scarily fragile. And to know that it takes not much to go down that path is frightening. Um, Hardest scene in the whole show. I will agree with you. Um, it hit me the most. I so far it's the hardest hitting. Um, Supercell on Netflix. I will as soon as I get Netflix again. um, Grandparents passed away a few years ago. Yeah, hopefully they. The thing is, you would like to think that you go out full capacity, but aging sucks, and we don't all go in a graceful way. Um, Huey and Homelander have the best character development and character driven scenes in the show. Now, I agree. I would say Homelander's utter brokenness and his inability to navigate his way out of it to the point where he's just a psychopath is fascinating. Is he redeemable? I mean, I don't think so. I think he's chosen his path and there's no coming back from it. But Huey, in his powerlessness, having learning how to own what he does have power over, learning how to make tough decisions, learning how to let go. This is a huge learning moment for Huey, and it hurts. Not just having to let go of it. See, it could have been like, oh, I pulled the plug and then let nature take its course. No, he literally had to kill his dad. So that's a little different. But I'm a supporter of assisted. You know, what they people say unaliving now because of YouTube censorship. Of assisted, leaving, if you will. Mainly because if you should have control over anything, wouldn't it be great to have control over when you die? The nature, a lot of you we're gonna do it anyway. It'd be nice if you could skip all the bullshit, skip all of the pain and suffering that goes along with disease and diminishment, and just get on with where you're heading anyway. Um, but having to be the person that does that takes a lot of strength. Huey's stronger than he thinks he is, and I think he's learned that over the course of the seasons. Um, Homelander, Huey, let's see. Frenchie's story has been weak this season. I've enjoyed it, but I'm like, you. Oh, I've committed murders, man, motherfucker. What use are you? What? One of my shake my head moments. We in the middle. Look, it's like this motherfucker's in the foxhole, and he's like, you know what? I I did some bad things. I've got to go and face judgment for that. The shells are coming in. Can you stick around for a minute? Have your crisis of confidence, of faith or confidence or conscience. Have that shit after the war is over. We can adjudicate that then, man. Just like we need you right now. That whole thing with Colin fucked him up. I think. Let's see. I mean, I was hoping he was gonna be happy, but like he's just self sabotages. That's Frenchie's whole deal is he doesn't think he deserves happiness. He doesn't. So whenever there's a possibility of it, let's fuck it up. You know, he's he feels that way because of things he's done in his past. He can't absolve himself. Should he absolve himself? Turns out he's super religious too. So, and he's Catholic of all things. Like, oh my, like fuck, that's not the religious angle to take if you are a killer. You're gonna and you don't believe in absolution. Oh yeah, you are gonna throw yourself on your sword at some point. Um, the yeah, the horrible nightmare of the horrible shit he did and woke up in a sweat. So who knows that they might just pull an Omni Man and redeem him. I mean, it would be nice if Homelander actually did self reflection. That'd be cool. I think Homelander, he's weird. He's an interesting case because we should all hope that no one's absolutely evil. Um, as a kind of a side, and I need to take a drink real quick. My voice is killing me. I did a podcast that I've got to edit last night, and boy, my voice it's working on me. But either way, we're gonna get through it. Homelander's interesting because we don't want to believe that there is absolute evil, that there is a person not redeemable, right? Even though in our mind Hitler's that guy, and maybe Pol Pot and a few other people, irredeemable, evil to the core, straight up. I don't personally think that that's true because, as I remind people, at one point they were babies. I don't believe that you're born evil. I don't think that that's true. You can be born with deficiencies or ailments or something like that due to environment or genetic happenstance. I don't think you're born evil. I think that that's, kind of a result of things that happen to you over the course of your life and choices you make. There's a combination of things, but are there people that are irredeemable? Possibly. Are there people that will never, like, if you had enough time, would never be redeemable? I don't know if that's true. So Homelander's an interesting case of that. Um, you know, J.K. Rowling, she who must not be named, sort of presented the case for Voldemort being no, just straight up bad. And it's in the blood. He's just bad because of where he comes from or something like that. And she tried to make it, oh, he made choices. No, he's just straight up born bad. Um, but Homelander being the anti Superman is essentially, his upbringing fucked him up. So if your upbringing can fuck you up, can therapy and changes unfuck you up? I don't know. I don't think we've arrived at that conclusion yet. We know that therapy can, at the very least, help you manage the places you're fucked up. So, but Homelander, he doesn't think he needs therapy. He's a god. So you have to first believe that you're hurt and messed up and need help in order to start dealing with that. Let's see. little Nina had come back for revenge. Is she alive? I don't remember. I've got to go back and rewatch the show. Um, Frenchie happens to me just the guy Frenchie happens to me just happens to be a survivor of a family he killed. Bad. Yeah, well, yeah, that is super coincidental. Um, but let me say, weirder things have happened in the world. It seems oddly coincidental and specific. In the terms of writing, yes, real coincidental. But in the world, literally two people who are siblings that didn't know they were siblings have met and had kids. Now, how like they've adopted by different people? How likely is that to happen? Remember, there's millions of people in the world. Even in a small geographical area, there are millions and millions of people. How likely is it that you meet your sister, marry her, and have kids? So, um, let's see, where was I at? Was they explored Kamiko's connection to the girl more? Yeah, I want to know how she was involved with the trafficking. Notice that the girl she knows is working with the people that trafficked her. So this is a bit of a, child soldier thing where, you grow up as a child soldier that was kidnapped and brainwashed or whatever. And now you are upholding that. This could also be an allegory for, you know, how people get involved in cults, could be an allegory for Stockholm syndrome, that sort of thing too. What did she do? I'm afraid they're gonna not follow up on that, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, let's see. French extracting the virus with a new. Yeah, I mean that's possible. I mean you probably they're going to be working on it. The virus. We will talk about that a little bit in a sec. How you look at Trump, MAGA, the right wing, and I believe in absolute evil. Um, I just think that absolute evil is not real. I think there's evil, sure, but evil is sort of and by the way, why? It's weird that I've been doing this whole time with my mic so far away from me. So I hope I haven't been too low. Um, I don't believe in absolute evil because evil is a bit of a concept that is defined by us as people. So what one people think is evil is not. Like for instance, there are people that think being gay is evil, and they got a book to back it up. They got several books to back it up. Hey, millions and millions of people agree it's true. Must be true, right? And that's been the de facto thought for a long time until we were like, is it though? Like, because a book said so? Like, they just seem like normal people just trying to live their life and they just fuck different. Who cares? And so, in some parts of the world, we've arrived at this. No, it's not evil. It's just the way people are. Let's move on. But there's still people in our society who insist that their book says so, therefore it's true. Or there are some that are just like, it's just icky to me, therefore evil. So a lot of what we call evil is really just shit we've decided isn't good. um, Now, these things can change. So I don't believe in absolute evil because you'd have to say that there is an absolute grounding for things. And where is that? Where does it come from? Religious people believe that God is the ultimate grounding for morality. And therefore, what is evil and what isn't evil is ultimately up to him or her or it. I don't think that that's true. So I don't believe in absolute evil. I just think that it depends on who's talking about it and what they mean by it. And we can sort of litigate it we can figure it out amongst ourselves. But if you have to go to the closest thing to quote absolute, I think you can base it on harm or well-being. And if that's the case, we can start figuring out what's harmful, what's good, and what's bad for people. And I will say, as much as I disagree with them, MAGA and the like, I don't think they're absolute evil. And in some cases, I don't even think they're coming from a place of evil, even if their results are bad. Fear and doubt and not knowing who to blame, or powerlessness, or knowing that you don't have the power to actually do things, and therefore you want to vent these negative emotions in an unhealthy manner, can be why they are doing what they're doing. And of course, appealing to the strong man to tell you what to think, tell you what to do, what's right, what's wrong. It starts with religion, but it plays out into the real world. So, they're not absolutely, it's not absolute evil. There are some evil things being done and some really, really bad thinking that is resulting in bad shit. Let's see. Little Nina escaped in episode 6 of the last season. I forget. Mind you, I've seen it the episode one time, so I will say that there are things that I don't remember. It would be cool if she came back. I think she was cool. There's some kid who killed animals, said felt good, so at least a few people are born evil. Like, as I said before, that can be a function of, developmental difficulty. Like, I think the ability to choose between right and wrong and all that other stuff, and having empathy, you can be taught not to be empathetic. One of the things is it could be a mental disease. So I don't know if I call that being born evil, because to me it's more of you're born with mental illness. That's not necessarily evil. Homelander led an entire plane of foot. Yeah. Screw his bad child. I think there's a thing. Well, okay, if I'm going to say that understanding and empathizing with somebody is not excusing them. So his childhood was garbage. Absolutely inhumane. You still have to make good choices. So I'm not excusing what he did, but I'm understanding how he could have the thought processes that make sense. He has to be loved and adored. He wants it so bad. It was programmed into him, and failing like that is against that. So he's not going to do it. Could Compound be just give people crazy powers? Sure, why not? If that's possible in this world. Now, mind you, it's probably possible because Huey could teleport. So why not? There's a Dr. Manhattan waiting to happen if they just take enough V, I guess. Incidentally, I think that's probably the solution to the problem of Homelander, is just give V to everybody and let nature take its course. By that I mean, if the choice is, if Homelander looks at everyone and says, if you don't have superpowers, you're not a real person, give everybody superpowers. Let's play this shit out like the Viltrumite War. Let's figure out who's going to live and who's going to die, because it's either that or, he does his best version of Apocalypse and fucking runs the world, and people are they are just playthings. And not even playthings, that, building monuments, and then eventually they'll just be food. I don't know. When you're not a person, when someone or some group of people classify you as not a person, they can do anything to you. Look at what we do to animals. And look at what people will not do to animals because they anthropomorphize them. Right? It's really easy to squash a roach. We all do it. We do it all the time. But it's really hard to squash your pet hamster, right? Because we anthropomorphize them. They become people enough that we can't be cruel like that to them. And Homelander is purging that from his mind. He's already done it. He can kill at will. He can tear people apart. It's no thing to him. They're not real people. And he's trying to get the other soups to feel the same way. I will stream for as long as I feel like I can. I put down a lot of notes, and I'm realizing I'm not going to get through them because my voice is going to give out eventually. But last time I went 2 hours. I'm at an hour and 30 minutes. I'll probably stick around as long as you guys want me to. Could there ever be something? Everything ever be absolute pure evil? I don't think that that's possible. I don't think there's absolute good or evil. The only way that's probably true is that there's got to be an absolute moral, basis, and I don't think that there is one. Being gay does not cause harm, so people's beliefs are not backed up by any actual facts. The right causes real harm. Well, you have to remember if their understanding of harm is based on what goes against God, then in their mind it does cause harm. Their morals are based on something. And in their mind, sin is harmful in general, and tolerating sin is tolerating harm. I'm not saying I agree with it, but if you follow the logic, it's not wrong. It's just their starting point is stupid. People thought slavery wasn't evil, yet it inherently was. It's not about a belief, it's about harm. I agree. I do agree. Slavery is evil based on the idea of harm. And therefore, no matter how you slice it, and mind you, it was tolerated and justified or even encouraged because of a poor reading of religion. But also, if your moral basis is might makes right, then slavery is perfectly moral. And a lot of times, might makes right is what it is. I think one of the good things about our modern kind of exploration of this concept is that we are able to look at the far-reaching consequences of might makes right and how it's demonstrably bad. The thing is, we shouldn't have to do this. We have plenty of history to tell us that that's bad. Recent history. It's not ancient, recent history. But for some reason, those of us in the first world need to be smacked upside the head with it constantly, because we are going to slip back into those easy habits of, I've got the power, so I'm going to do what I want. Which is why Superman is so fucking important, I think, for somebody to have the power and to choose to use it responsibly. And Lex Luthor, if you watch My Adventure with Superman, but his thesis is essentially no man should have all that power. Because history shows that given tremendous power, abuse is coming. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That sort of deal. Human nature is not good with doing right with good power, which is why governments that spread it out tend to work better. But we, of course, we can't, here in America, we can't be happy with having a government like that because we feel it's inefficient or somehow a decision happens that we don't like, and now we got to concentrate power. So we're going back to the old stupid habits. It is what it is. We progress, we regress. It's just what happens. We just happen to be in a bit of a regression. Sunny Marks, thank you for jumping into the chat. I appreciate you saying something. Let me see if I can answer something real quick. I've been sort of Pontificating. I have a question. Viltrumite is invincible, not the boys. Correct. That is true. Um, I just started the boys 2 weeks ago, and I've been watching every season and showing episode up to date. Why is so much difference from the comic to the show? I think this is just artistic license. Um, I've read a bit of the comic. I haven't read a ton of it. Um, there's a lot of edgelord shit in that comic. That's not necessarily good TV or good filmed entertainment. Being shocking or edgy for its sake, to kind of be kind of be different than other comic books on the shelves. There's a bit of that in there. Maybe there are practical concerns as far as like bringing it to life. And also let's remember that while this show is based on the comic and it is following a lot of it, there is also an attempt to make it topical and relevant to what people are experiencing right now. So that's what you're getting, is kind of a synthesis of the comic itself and what it's going for, its storylines, and trying to fit them to a more recent narrative to make it mean something to people. Because like Kripke said, I'm making a statement. I'm making a statement about the world we live in through the lens of this show. So there are going to have to be some changes. I don't know what they all are. I trust Eric Kripke and what he's doing and what his writers are doing to make it make sense. Because he hasn't steered us wrong yet. The show has been great. Stick around for 3 hours. I don't know if my voice can do that. I will definitely get to 2 hours, I think. Let's see. I'm backing up some so I can answer you, Ariel. I think there are probably some higher level beings and not any god or religion created by humanity's beliefs. Possibly. I'm pretty agnostic about it. I'm not convinced by what I've seen or heard from people. It's awfully interesting that these gods are basically just people with a lot of power. I mean, I've heard, people say God's ways are not our ways, so that you can't really question. I'm like, yeah, but like, it's really weird that God seems to be very human. And just, maybe he should show up like visibly, physically, undeniably, and just say, let's put this question to rest. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. In the world of the boys, who knows? It is funny to me though that how Vought is just they exploit the shit out of that. Did y'all guys see the V-52 shit? Fucking brilliant. I love how they were shit talking Disney basically. But, and this is relevant to something I'd post about on Threads. So I went to the movies on Tuesday, and I saw a trailer for this god awful looking faith-based movie that it's some kind of thriller. It's the near future, and these 7 Christians have to transport the Bible somewhere. I couldn't roll my eyes hard enough. It looked like some shit on Tubi, but it's gonna be like, oh, it's this Christian persecution complex that it's weird. You can be more numerous than basically everybody else. Basically, every elected official is one of you. More or less, your religious sensibilities are catered to. And you're basically in charge, but you want to be a victim and a fucking, you want to be the person fighting the good fight against overwhelming odds. You're the overwhelming odds. You are the state. You are the evil empire, essentially, that you want to fucking fight against. And that's what this fucking movie looks like. And I was like, this looks terrible, and also it's going to be cringe as fuck. And it's going to, push this agenda that supposedly they don't like agendas unless it's their agenda. I mean, hypocrisy, what's new? Um, but what was funny to me was the whole firecracker. I think it was like Lord Soldier or something like that from Vought Faith, like their studio. I was like, how crazy is it that that's what comes up? Because it looked like some bullshit like that. I love it. That whole V-52 thing is awesome. Um, let's see. Let me get down and catch up. Um, we were talking about how Homelander just gave everyone on the planet powers with V and having an all-out war. I mean, would he do that? I think he's afraid, rightfully, that someone's going to get powers that can kick his ass. You don't share. This is a bit like Zeus saying, remember Zeus literally imprisoned a dude in Hades for giving fire to man. I want to say he's the guy that he had, an eagle or peck out his liver every day or something like that. But he imprisoned a guy for doing that. Sisyphus went through the same shit. So yeah, he doesn't want people to be. He wants to be a god over the world. He doesn't want other gods. Why the fuck would he want that? Let's see. Who do you think is dying in the season finale? Appropriately titled Assassination Run. I think A-Train's dead. I think Sage is a one-off character, unfortunately. Because Homelander needs to be stripped of he needs to be stripped of his security. And Sage is security for him because she does his thinking for him. He needs to be unhinged and on edge to kind of incite this whole thing. So I think Sage and A-Train, which is ironic that the black characters are going to be killed off, but A-Train makes sense because he's the mole. Sage because she's the security. And possibly Victoria Newman. She is, I think she's a rogue element. And I think Sage knows it. And I also think her dying as a result of the plague probably it. Let me move on down. Let's see. Says the reason there's so many different comics in the show, the comics are shit and the TV show tries to be better. I cannot speak to that. Like I said, I think I read maybe the first arc of the book way back in the day, and it's been a long time. It reeks of 2010 edgy humor. Yeah, like I said, edgelord shit. You got injected with V. It was successful. What power would you want? That's a hell of a good question. I used to think about this a while, like what would be cool, and it generally like I want a power I've already seen. I think Sage being super smart's dope. To me, that would be an ideal power. What kind of pains me about Sage is, yeah, she's like, well, no one listens to me because I'm a black woman, and they don't believe that I'm capable, and they diminish me. I get that, and I look cool. That's real deal. Cool. She doesn't want to be an evil genius, so she just she's just making herself smart reading and all this other stuff. She's the smartest person on the planet. I would be fucking out there solving the world's problems. You don't need superpower. You don't need to be super strong to solve the world's problems. Little bit at a time here and there. There was a show I used to watch called The Pretender. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's an old show. You can catch it on probably Prime Video right now. The idea was that there was this guy who was a genius. He was a child genius, one of the smartest people on the planet. And he was in a facility where they were using him to solve problems and stuff. And he breaks out and he wants to go live and see the world. And it's an episodic show. He goes town to town, place to place, solving people's problems, pretending to be somebody. He pretends to be somebody. kind of like imagine Dexter, but not a serial killer, but instead he's solving problems. And so I kind of see Sage as lost potential. I would love to be, hella smart. Hell, I don't even have to be the smartest person on earth. I would love to just be smart enough to start making the world a better place. Like in just maybe just your corner of the earth. That'd be dope. What would I actually get? Fuck if I know. It'd probably be something garbage. I'd I'd get some stupid deformity, and I would just be like, I'll just like fuck my life. Um, yeah, my based on my personality, yeah, I would just get some weird ass deformity because I'm just in real life, you know, I don't know if I project any kind of real confidence or something. I'm actually pretty bad at dealing with people. I mean, once I get to know you, we're dope. It's dope between us, but actually getting to start off knowing you is not great. So I think sometimes people think I'm nice until I say something weird or act like a dick. And then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute." Um and take a sleep after stream is over. Do that, man. I feel you. I got a little sleep last night, but Sage, A Train, Frenchie, Noir, and probably Stan are all day. I hope not Stan, but yeah, it's likely. Frenchie, I don't know what happened in the book, so I can't say. Noir, he's expendable. He's a nothing. I want Green Lantern powers. Hard light is if that's a real thing. Homelander versus Hancock. Homelander. Oh no, Hancock. I think Hancock is. Wasn't he literally just basically could be as strong as he wanted to be? He kind of self limited. So yeah, Hancock. Um, we're at 147. I think 2 hours is probably going to be my limit. My voice is starting to really wear down. Let me see if I had anything else that needed to be um, said from my notes. um, yes, I forgot this from the V52. Sorry, I clapped like that. Performative allyship. Yes, it does feel like the boys is always shitting on conservatives, but they really kind of the performative allyship. I could not stop myself from laughing about this. The whole we're talking about we're woke or woke heroes. They call them our articulate heroes. I've died. The black edit, the whole initiative, go woke, get yoked. I was like, y'all are killing me. It was so good. Performative allyship fucking sucks. The whole like Pride Month. I like Pride Month. I hate the corporate bullshit that comes with it. Cause it's like Halloween. It's cosplaying. You take that off, you're back to being a regular money grubbing corporation that doesn't give a fuck about any of it. Good for you, you're selling Pride stuff. Next week you're giving money to Chick-fil-A. So I mean, like, I love that they said that though. In comics, Butcher straight up kills all the rest of the boys, and Huey kills Butcher. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen in this. They're too sympathetic now. One mistake they made, Woke AF says this, in my opinion, is they totally underutilized Starlight's powers. She controls light. That's a hell of a power. Light is generated by plasma energy, which the writers would read a book. Well, this one of the few weaknesses to the writing on this show is convenience and plot armor. Conveniently, people forget science. Conveniently, people forget how things work. Conveniently, we have red shirts here to get pulped, but not the boys. Never the boys, right? Uh, there's a lot of that plot armor. We're doing this for reasons going on in here, and I'm excusing it because everything else is so strong, and we're trying to get somewhere. I'm not going to be too hard on. Well, let me just say this: I can excuse a lot if you do right elsewhere. So, like, I was watching Furiosa, and I was enjoying the movie, absolutely enjoying it. There were a few times I was like, "Wait a minute now, where y'all getting all this gas from?" You know, there's a lot of y'all, and y'all have muscle cars. Or there's a part where I'm like, how's a monster truck having a long distance chase and not just sputtering to a stop? But you know what? The rest of the movie was dope. I'll live. I will live with ridiculousness if you're doing right elsewhere. Um, duh, duh, duh. What if Mother's Milk and Huey get killed? Well, show over. Huey cannot die in this show, in my opinion. He's us. Kill him, you kill us. It's how everyone's dead by that point. In the comments, Bush straight up kills all of it. Yeah, I think I read that already. When I first saw it as Black Edit, I read it as Black Adam. Oh God, that was good stuff. You mean the Pride Whopper isn't a good thing? Is that real? I don't look, as much as I watch ad supported TV, it's a lot of the same fucking ads, but I guess we should, I mean, in a way, we should be like, well, cool. They feel confident enough about where queer people are in this country that they can do pride stuff. So I guess that's progress, but fuck me. It's just weird. It's weird and like a bit obscene, actually. I want some meaningful shit to happen. How about this? I will trade every fucking pride display in every store, every flag, everything that every municipality does. I will trade all of that for enshrining actual fucking rights so they can't be undone by anybody into the Constitution. Y'all will never see no pride flag ever again if we can get actual meaningful shit. Because it's easy to do performative shit. Like, this is one reason why, and that, like, y'all, maybe this doesn't sit right with you. I don't actually put flags or anything on my social media because it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it could mean like, yeah, I'm friendly, but as a Black man, I have been around friendly allies that when it's convenient, drop that shit. I have. When it's convenient or when it's inconvenient, they drop that shit. So I don't need that. Accomplices, not allies. Allyship's easy. You can pick up that sign and throw it down as very quickly. An accomplice will go to jail with you. That's what we need. This shit that Target is doing, who gives a fuck? Shit that Walmart's doing, who gives a fuck? Doesn't mean anything to me. Because Sam Walton and his family, they give money to people that are against it. That's what really matters. That's the real accomplished shit. Plot arm. I don't want Percy Jackson to die in the first book. Look, stakes, right? We want real stakes, and right now, I don't think any of them are going to die before the end of the season, this season or next season. Ariel says, I want to make a superhero comic turned TV show that takes place in the zombie apocalypse and that has a bunch of goofy characters and badass scenes like in Mad Max. Marvel Zombies is coming out, so maybe keep an eye out for that. I'm going to have to quote Pitch Meeting on the Gas and Furiosa. I'm going to have to ask you to get way off my back about that plot hole, sir. Someone gave me shit for saying something about it, but I'm just like, am I supposed to pretend that the real world doesn't exist, that thermodynamics is not real? And I mean, because a large part of the plot is, man, we got to, protect Gas Town. Why? If you can pretend like gas isn't a real thing that needs to be taken account for. They throw it on and off as needed. That's all. Look, it didn't diminish my enjoyment. I liked Furiosa. I was just like, it's weird that y'all don't need gas. And and when you listen to them, they're V12 engines, they're V8s, V12. High-powered engines. They're speeding across the wasteland. And there's no gas station for anywhere near. And I don't see a tanker driving behind these motherfuckers, so how's it working? They're certainly not hybrids, so I'm just saying. Homelander and Butcher are the only two safe bets to survive the season. True. Plot armor is going to be on full bore. Also want to make a horror franchise that's wacky and parodies horror cliches, and the main villain be a Grim Reaper's weird crackhead like Art the Clown. Why not? You know what I say about these sort of things? You got a good idea? Get at it, dog. Pick that pen up, get on that keyboard, and try to make it happen, dog. Hey, I'm all for bringing art into the world. I mean, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to, make the next big thing. And also, there's an awful lot of people online and who are experts after the fact about what should be done, what's good, all this. We're seeing a lot of that shit in fandom. I'm not any better than them. I shitted on Madam Web for what it did. But I also will say that the people who got hired to work that they could write better than me. So, what the fuck do I know? What I do know is that if you really have the passion for it, get after it, dog. That it's we have, this is the most fertile time, and I have a feeling the next 10 or so years will be very fertile. And there are many ways to get your work out there. Self-publishing is real. Self-financing is real. Crowd financing is real. So make something. I'm down for it. I want physics to work at fast. I gave up on Fast and Furious. Nope, physics is done. I don't believe it anymore. You know what? When Idris Elba being Captain America is the least ridiculous thing, I've thrown my hands up. I'm just there for the ride. I liked Furiosa. I really did. I thought it was dope. There's just some shit in it that doesn't make sense. Physics is out the door in Fast and Furious. I completely understand that. Dominic Toretto is he spits in the face of the law of conservation of momentum. How do you cut off the guy's leg and tie him up in a short amount of time? Stop asking so many questions. That's the answer. Ariel, you and me both, dog. I've been going through some personal things that really sap my will. I'm glad I get to do stuff like sitting and talking about shit. That's easy, but making things is so hard. Even when it comes down to my content. So I'm with you there. I'm trying to work through the issues I'm having. to make this work more. But I will say, sitting and talking does help a lot. And I will say, like, for real, probably in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna go off because my voice is starting to hurt. Um, Johnny, I don't know how he did it. Let's just say maybe he had. Let's just say Kessler did it. How about that? He did it because he's the only one that's unaccounted for. Batman's contingency plan for Homelander. Convince a lot of superheroes to gang up on him. I don't know what else you do. Nuke it from space. That's the only way. Only way to be sure. Horror franchise we call Spree. That makes me think of those candies that I used to like when I was a kid. Parasite gave him superhuman speed. Ooh. So, Ariel, you know what? Hey, I know it's hard to break through lethargy and laziness and all the other stuff, but you know, try writing one sentence a day or one paragraph a day. Just try it, one foot in front of the other. I hate to sound like a Disney thing, but you have to start somewhere and make it a habit. I think I've made making my podcast a habit where I think we're at 155 episodes now. I just recorded 155. It's a habit now. It's just something I do. It is part of my week to gather news stories to talk about. It's part of my week to, record and edit. It's just something that I do. It's such a habit now that it's weird to me, like when I don't get to do it. So I think that if you just try to make a habit, it doesn't even. And look, when you start writing, don't worry so much about writing this big story you have an idea for. Don't worry about that. Just make a habit of writing, jotting down ideas, maybe writing some dialogue that sounds cool to you. And before you know it, it's just a habit that you do. Yeah. Hey, have at it. And also try to study what other people are doing. Study, if you can take some online courses or something, that's good. Look at screenplays of movies you really liked and see what they do. Kind of study what you're aiming for. I tell my daughter to do that too. She fancies herself wanting to be an actor. And so I really we watch movies and I try to point out, like, what are they doing well? How are they doing what they're doing? And if you can sort of dissect that, I even saw something from Dan Slott, who is a comic book writer, saying that when he sees something he really likes, he takes it apart bit by bit to see, how is this working? Why does this work? Why does this matter to me? And if he can figure it out, add that to your tool chest. So, yeah, have fun. Absolutely. If you're not having fun, what's the point? Homelander versus Avengers. This is gonna be my last thing I'm gonna talk about before I let you guys go. Speaking of Homelander, did y'all see that? Also, I'm sure y'all have seen that image of Homelander and Omni-Man versus the Marvel Universe and how fucking stupid it is. It's not fair to throw, like, if you throw Homelander into the Marvel Universe, in the MCU, he's a heavy hitter. In the comics universe, he is a jobber. He really is. He is the least Superman clone possible. Like, Vance Astrovic would beat him like he stole something. If you don't know who Vance is, Um, he's one of the Nui warriors. He's got Superman-ish powers. He would beat him like he stole something. Spider-Man would beat up Homelander. Spider-Man would whip his ass. So I'm not convinced that Homelander wouldn't just, you know, go run away and try to do his evil shit on the low, because he knows that in the Marvel Comics universe, Captain Marvel will show up and wax that ass. Or not even Captain Marvel. There are many lower level humans that would beat Homelander up. Yeah, it's not even in the MCU. He wouldn't stand a chance. Thor could beat him up. The Sentry's coming, of course, but I'm trying to think of a lower than Captain Marvel hero that could beat him. I mean, maybe Spider-Man, maybe not. I think maybe Tom Holland Spider-Man could, but yeah, we know Wanda could, Vision could, Vision, White Vision could, probably Quicksilver could have if he had lived. So there's I mean, Loki probably could. It would not be pretty. So yeah, well, you remember and he has been a member of the New Warriors when he was Earthbound. So but he has various. Hell, Captain Britain is another Superman-ish clone who would definitely beat Homelander's ass. Guardian, was it Guardian? I think he's from Alpha Flight, another Superman-ish clone who would beat Homelander's ass. Um, Monet Saint Clair, I think, from X-Men would beat his ass. Rogue would beat his ass. I mean, as Kendrick said, how many ops you got? There's too many options from the Marvel Comics universe that would beat Homelander to death. So like, he don't want to see that. He don't want to see that at all. You wouldn't even need to get the Hulk. Honestly and truly, She-Hulk would beat Homelander up. Would beat him easily. You don't even need to get in the MCU. I'm talking MCU. Let's just talk MCU. It would not. Wanda would just absolutely destroy him. Right? If we count the multiversal people, Black Bolt would destroy him. Right? I would argue that possibly Reed Richards could. Like I said, again, just in the MCU, Doctor Strange would wreck him. Because he was sitting up there shit talking Asgardians, because we know Thor would beat Homelander. Pretty much any Asgardian would give him the business. Korg could probably beat him up, because remember, Korg can fight an Asgardian and live to tell the tale. Maybe Drax, Gamora probably, Nebula probably, definitely Adam Warlock. Namor would fucking body him so hard. I mean, I'm just going down the list of everybody that's in the MCU. His only easy wins are going to be like, Sam Wilson and all of the super soldiers. Yeah. I think that Victoria could try. She'd have the best chance against regular street level people, but like against anybody with real powers, no. Baby Groot. I actually think Groot probably couldn't win. I think his ability to infiltrate Homelander's body is not good enough. But definitely, definitely, obviously, like I said, any Asgardian, that's a given. I'm trying to think if I'm missing somebody. Hell, I think Tony probably could. I think the armor could. He did last pretty well against Thanos, so maybe Tony could. Maybe Tony with the good armor could. Um, that's a good one. But he'd kill Shang-Chi, but I think Shang-Chi would hurt him bad. But he'd kill him, I think. It's the flying and the lasers and all that stuff is like real. But I think Doctor Strange gives him hurt. Deep beat Namor? Hell no. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, Johnny. No. No, Namor is in the comics, he's much more powerful, but even in the MCU, Deep, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced about that. Aquaman, no. In the comics or in the DCU. I think, but we haven't really seen Deep's real power. We know he's super strong, and he's pretty tough, and he can control. I guess water. He can control water, and he can control. That's cool and all. Like, but is he a bloodbender though? Don't know that yet. I mean, Namor in MCU is pretty fucking powerful. So I wouldn't say, I'd say no to that. Guys, my voice is really shot and it's 2 hours and 11 minutes. I think I'm going to let you guys go for the afternoon. Thanks so much, everybody, for showing up. If you commented, participated in the chat, you guys rule. Do kids say that anymore? Rule? What do the kids say? Thanks a lot for showing up. I'm glad y'all did. I will not be doing this again next Friday. Unfortunately, my work schedule has changed. Well, I might. You know what? I'm thinking about it. My Fridays are interesting for me because usually I have the day off. I don't have it off. And usually in the evenings, I'm hanging out with my daughter. So if I can make time between my hangout with her and getting off of work, I will stream. So I'll let you know. But we definitely need to talk about the next episode. Thanks again, all of you guys, for showing up. I hope you like this video or like the stream. If you haven't, please go like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go hook me up. I think I'm about at 400 subscribers. But if you like this content, let people know about it. Kind of put the word out. Check out social media for the channel, Blerd_Force1 on Instagram and Threads. It's super_not_funny show. super_not_funny show@gmail.com. super_not_funny show on TikTok. I do appreciate it, and I hope you all got something good out of this stream. I had a lot of fun talking about this, and I hope I see you on the next stream. So you guys have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend.